Hello everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 194. Today is Saturday, August 5th, 2017, and I'm glad you could join me today. I actually got the intro right this week. So, I have iced coffee today, but it looks like there might be some sort of interesting, subtle coffee layer going on. Maybe so subtle you guys can't even see, but I figured it was going to be a good choice, and feels pretty good. So I might be a little bit funny because I went rock climbing this morning and all of this other fun stuff, so it shouldn't be too crazy, but whatever. It was interesting. Now I need to figure out how to extract what I need. I may need to do some interesting rejiggering. So, I think most of the love was here. So this is my V-neck boxy. It is a hokey locatelli pattern. And the reason why I'm making the V-neck was that it was from the top down. So this let me decide how big I want it, or basically to maximize the yarn usage. And you can see here, getting pretty far along. It's almost like I need to hold it at my elbows, but it doesn't really sit nicely there, so we'll go with that. So I am now at the halfway mark with the yarn. And stitches are popping off, which is not appreciated. So I just used up the third ball of the the sandy color, which means that, I don't know, as far as yarn usage is concerned, I'll have to decide what happens from there. But it's really the case where, what would it be? I think I'll be okay though. I think I have enough yarn to make 30 inches of sweater. But I think that will be enough. But I think it needs to be 25 in order for things to turn out correctly. But whatever. And then I am close but not quite on using up this ball, and then I have a swatch in this one, and then a full ball hanging out in the bag, so shouldn't be too crazy. I don't know whether or not I need to break it up with taking a sleeve break or after I get through the next stripe section, which I'll be starting very soon. So the stripe pattern I worked out that used the amount of yarn I wanted to was 30 rows plain, 5 rows blue stripes, 4 rows neutral in between. So that gives it a nice little asymmetry there, which I think is nice. And then the sleeves do go to my elbows, so I need to do, I don't know, maybe 4 total inches of sleeves, so I may whack those in soon, just to break it up. So that's sort of where I'm at right now, and that way, knowing that the sleeves are done and that'll be the last, the last thing that I'll need the sandy yarn for, then I'll just know I can just knit until I run out of the sandcastle color. The sandy color is sandcastle and the blue color is purple parrot, and I'm making it out of Plymouth Yarn's Nettle Grove, which is probably one of the nicest yarn wools I've ever used. It is cotton, then linen, then nettle, then silk. So Really nice hand, occasional straw, which confuses me greatly. There shouldn't be any straw. But it has like a really nice heavy look, and the more variegated one I'm breaking up nicely, so it's pretty good. I'm enjoying the iced coffee a lot too, so, because it's, what would it be? I think it's like mid-90s, so it's good that like there's no sleeves. The other thing that got some love is under a giant pile of stuff, so let me briefly rearrange. So I'll just like take stuff and move it around. I'm actually in the middle of a row right now, so, and even worse, it's a beading row. I think I was plotting to, I think I was plotting to finish it before I started recording, and then I started recording. So, oh, that's not the end of the world. So this is my Rock Casbah. It is a Cindy Garland pattern, and I'm knitting it out of Stunning String Studio or Stunning String Studio, whatever their 100% superwash merino is. And it is so stinking gorgeous. Really happy with how it's turning out. Hopefully that noise isn't too crazy. Not sure. So unfortunately it's a bead row, so right now I have this on Super Floss. What I like about Super Floss is that you can fit a ton of beads and have them ready to go. So it makes for much easier beading because of that. So then Super Floss has a stiff end, a medium end, and then the like soft fluffy middle. And so I use the stiff end for the beading. And go from there. So it doesn't seem like this beading row was as dreadful as the last beading row, but I have split it up a bit more, as you do. So I think I was able to get it spread out to the point where it's okay. I didn't try to do it all at midnight. And that was also a little bit crazy making. So there was like, not this week, but last week, we had a work potluck. And it was just the ladies, and this is the sort of thing where, what is it? Our job is, for a lot of roles, the job is a lot like baking. So, you sort of, like, the job ends up attracting a lot of people who are fantastic cooks. So it was totally worth it. Or what is it? It's always a lot of fun to go to these potlucks because these people are very jazzed about cooking, and I'm very excited about delicious food, so this works out. But it was a case where at the very end we were sort of like divvying up some of the extra stuff, and one of those was a piece of chocolate. And I didn't immediately eat said piece of chocolate, and I put it in this bag because this was the project I had with me at the time. And so I had forgotten about it, as you do. And sadly, I had left this project in the car. So normally I would take my bag of knitting projects inside with me, and that wouldn't have been a big deal. But I had left it in the car. So I went to go take this project out, and there was lots of chocolate places it was very sad. Mostly it's on the bag, so I'll just have to make sure to wash the bag. I ended up wiping up most of it, but I'd rather not have this one be chocolate stained. The piece of super floss was a total loss. It was just covered in chocolate. So I was able to, it appeared to only go on the back, like there was a little bit on the back side of the shawl, and there was, what was it? There was a little bit on my my lighter color of yarn, so that is the light gray is Fog, and my blue is Blue Calypso. So there was a little bit on the Fog skein, which I ended up just sort of wiping up, and that seems to be close enough for the purposes of this. It was a very small amount, but it was still like so disappointing to be like, I was going to work on all of the beads and get it done, and I couldn't use a piece of super floss. It was super duper chocolatey. Alas. So I had good intentions of finishing the bead row so I could get back to boring knitting on this, but it did not work. Did not go. So what would it be? And this is probably, I'm heading towards the last of the boring knitting on this guy. What is it? So it's the case where, so this bead row here was sort of a blip in the middle of the boring knitting. So there's just, after this row, there's going to be like a little bit of striping, and then I'll have another solid block of solid knitting again. So I was sort of hoping to get to the solid block of knitting, but I didn't make it. Alas. So, and the other, what is it, and what I have been enjoying quite a lot on this particular project is that I am working with all of these markers that I got at the SSK stitch marker swap. I am so jazzed. Because it's just the case where, what is it, especially when, what was it, I ended up like having like good conversations and, or what is it, memorable conversations, and I remember who gave me the stitch marker. Like, it's very nice to just pass by every one of them and be like, oh, I remember you. So even though I'm not hanging out with them, I get to, whatever, have like a little memory of who it was and that sort of thing. So that's been really cool. I am so close to being done with this row, so we'll give it a shot. That way I can give you guys a proper showing of what's going on. It seems like I have like a massive pile of stuff to talk about, or I was just sort of running around gathering all of the things. Don't know. Something like that. Or just making sure that I have an appropriate number of things to talk about. I'm not sure. So I have been enjoying that aspect of the project. Pretty soon I'm going to, Pretty soon I'm going to end up not having enough to keep using the SSK ones in the project, so that will eventually stop. Or what is it? Or at some point I will have incorporated every single one into it, and there will not be room for any more. But that's not the end of the world. Let's see. So close. What else? So these bead rows are super annoying. But I know that they will, or what is it? I know that it'll be worth it with the finished shawl. It's just, what would it be? It is just very time consuming for the, whatever, for these rows. But I don't think there are too many left. Like once I get into the big mosaic section, because I had like a warm-up mosaic section on the shawl. it'll be okay, but until that point, it'll be maybe a little bit crazy making. And I'm not sure whether or not I have another big beading section coming up. I'll have to check out the charts. So right now I'm in the midst of chart 5 of 11. Oh dear. Though there was a section in the last bit which I sort of wish had had a chart, because I had just assumed I had a solid block of color, and it, in fact, was not that. So I had assumed poorly. So there was a little bit of backtracking and just like rereading things to make sure I had set up things correctly. Because it didn't really seem like when I got to that part that I had like the appropriate number of stitches and that thing, and then I was wondering if I was working from the wrong chart and that sort of thing. And mostly it's just nice to have like the intermediate, so you know that if your intermediate counts are all right, that you're probably doing okay. So that was sort of where I was there. So close. Now I'm gonna run out of beads before I'm I think I'm only one bead off, so that won't be too crazy. But looks like I will be finishing off this strand of super gloss. I just think that's funny because I'm just like grabbing a handful of beads and loading them onto the piece of floss, so that's funny. But I'm pretty sure I need to bob, so that's not even the right end. So yeah. It has been interesting to do this different type. Oh wait, maybe no, I need to bob. It has been a different. There have been a couple of things about this shawl that have been like a different take than what I'm used to in shawl knitting, so I think that has been really refreshing, because in some ways there are like certain types of shawl designs that I am attracted to, but it's really cool to know that there's still like an awful lot that still can be learned and done and that sort of thing. Okay, so one more bead and we'll be good. Just one. Shouldn't be too crazy. Just like a little bit of light stalling. It isn't like I have someone else to take up the slack while I'm doing this nonsense. So, let's see. Then maybe like a quick check of stitch count. Not like a crazy check, and just. So, this is the case where so they're expecting 6, and I have 5, so I need to do the same thing I did on the last side. I don't know why it is, but maybe I am just like a smidgen off, but I'm not going to let it bother me too much. Make it work. It may be that I am 1 or 2 rows past where I should be, but I was trying to get the count right, but I might have been, the way I have it folded up, I have it like half and half, which sometimes hides the chart title, and maybe that was a bad choice. But making it work, calling it good. So this is how it's going so far. I did go to put this on my massive needle, and then I remembered that it was in my boxy. And look at all those happy stitch markers. So much happiness. And it's definitely, what would it be? The wrong side looks very wrong. So There is definitely a public side to this shawl, but that's okay. It's fine. But so much happiness. So it'll be sad when I run out of SSK markers, so I might end up keeping them together for projects which require a ridiculous number of markers in them. Just because it has been a really happy experience. So that is the story there. Coming along. Now that it's back to the boring part, that will probably cruise a little bit as well, because I think last week, what was it? So last week, I was just past the bead row, and now to this week, just past, whatever, barely just past the bead row now. So it ends up working out. Might need to change my ice to coffee ratio next time. Still trying to figure out the right one. It was definitely the right amount of coffee for the amount of ice I had, but crochet hook going along for a ride. I did nothing on the socks. I was sort of tempted to figure out what I needed to do, but I managed to just keep rocking on the boxy. So I have a little bit more work that needs to be done here. So this is my yoga mat bag. It is like a little bit floppity, so I think I have to do a little bit more reinforcing, especially sort of in the vicinity of my handle towards the opening. Because I definitely have the handle like good and attached, but I haven't gone all the way around, and you can tell. So I need to like get this section, and I don't know if I'm going to do some X's or triangles or something to give it like a little bit more reinforcement, but it definitely needs some. And I don't know if I did another line or not. I might have done another line on it. Yeah. So there's been some tightening up of it, but I think I just have one more section I need to do, and then it'll be good. And I have this much yarn to go, and then I will have pretty much used the entire thing for this. And then I can start using it to contain my yoga mat bag. But it would be nice to finish this for Stash Chef, because it is a decent amount of yardage. It's pretty thick yarn. It was the first yarn I spun on my Lendrum, so it was a pound of getting, or 8 ounces of Getting to Know You, and then I think there was maybe a pound of white, and like at least 8 ounces of the red. I really enjoyed the red. That was pretty nice. So, hand-spun yoga mat bag, because I'm ridiculous. Already knew I wasn't going to be wearing hand-spun. Aaron's just too crazy for Texas. There's no need for Aaron yarn. Okie doke. But maybe the socks will get some love, or maybe I've just sort of given up on like actually knitting for the cow I'm hosting. And so I did finish a cop. So this is for my sweater sample. So this was a class I took 2 years ago with Abby Frankmont. This cop is bigger. I don't know why. I guess I didn't split it in thirds to start off with, and then later decided to. Whatever. It was sort of unbalanced. But I finished a cop last night. I had already finished one, I think maybe at SSK. And now I have my last section of fiber and a couple of rounds of winding there. So this is my KCL Woodworks convertible spindle. And I just sort of liked the cool work on the top of it. I'm definitely very comfortable with using it now, so I'm glad I had this little starter project for it, but I would like to be able to do other things. So this means spinning up the sample and then knitting a decent sized swatch so that I cemented what I needed to learn from the class, which was basically about how to get the right amount of yarn for the project that you're trying to do. And what do all the spinning teachers say? Samples. They are united in this one, so it's just the case where you're just accepting that sometimes you need a little bit of fiber to play with to decide on what you're going to do. Speaking of that, I have been sampling furiously to decide what to do with my my Dawning Dreams bat. So it is a I think it's a 3-ounce bat. It's in my spin the bin. I want to do it. I was procrastinating because I wanted to get through the bats class, and so now my last section of bat is what would it be? My last section of bat is the striped one, which is the most similar to my Dawning Dreams bat. So here is my sample bat. So I had about 2 ounces of this. Probably have an ounce left at this point, and I'm probably going to spin it like this for the rest, or may actually would it be, or I might end up roll-logging it, I'm not sure, but mixing up the colors to make a marled yarn, or maybe I'll take a section here and do the stack and then do the rest as a roll-log marled yarn. That's just because I like the way that looks for this particular color combination. But I've been sampling up a storm. Now I'm missing one sample, because I think, maybe not, I'm not sure, whatever. But out of this bat, I have made a couple of different samples here, or maybe I applied one, I'm not sure. So, same colors. This one, I took a chunk and then rolled it into a roll-log, and then, or what was it? So I took the 3 sections, I put them on top of each other, I rolled it up into a roll-log, and then I drafted it up. So it's created this really nice marled yarn. Whatever. So that was fun. And then I did 2 different ways. I think that this is the sample from the class. No, found it. Okay. So this is what I think I'm going to do with my Dawning Dreams bat. So this is what I did in the class, which was I pulled off a chunk and then I pulled it diagonally through a diz, and it resulted in really nice color blending. But I also spun it 2 different ways. So this one was chunked, so I spun it worsted and then chain plied it, and it's one section after another. This one, I actually took it and then made it into a giant floofy roll-log and then spun from there. So there's a little bit more color blending between, but this was definitely the best color blending of the whole group. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and I now own it is, so this is very positive. So all sorts of fun little samples here, and I've been keeping track because it's all kind of stored stash. So I don't know, the yardages probably aren't that important, but I did start a project in Rav to keep track of all these, because I was just spinning up a storm of samples here. So bunches here from the striped bat. the other one is this acid green, and this is actually all 2 ounces of the bat spun several different ways. So this one was, I put it into a roll-log and spun it, sort of a combination of long draw and woolen. This one was a roll-log that I spun more, or this was the case where this was actually a strip that I spun woolen. This one was a roll-log that I spun worsted, and then this biggest chunk was strips spun worsted, so it was more worsted style. So it sort of spans the continuum from worsted, prep, worsted spinning, woolen prep, worsted spinning, woolen prep, worsted spinning, and then woolen prep, woolen spinning. And it is, it's just like soft like kitties. This one's pretty nice too, but it's ridiculous. And sort of falling apart, so I didn't put in enough twist, because apparently I was a little bit too chill. But definitely very interesting to have all of these different variations on a theme, so to speak. So, pretty cool. So that was the full 2 ounces there. I ended up finishing spinning the Oscar the Grouch bat. I just sort of added to it actually, so it'd be the case where I just plunked it all together into a single skein. So it's full of craziness. It's coarse spun, it has bits of thread, and it does look a little bit like it came out of a trash can. It's the grays and then like those green colors. It's totally not my cup of tea, but I've done it, I've experienced it, I've thought a little bit about how it's coming together, and I'm satisfied. So I had to really maximize the woolenness of the bat to get it to coarse spin really nicely. I chain plied the leftovers from my fractal spinning class, and they're really crazy. I haven't washed it yet. I'm hoping washing will make it better. And then I counted up the yardage for my, this is my ABC chain ply. I haven't yet started my other color sequences, but I can. It shouldn't be too crazy. I think I ended up losing my chunk of fiber. That was supposed to be the, what was it? But really like how this turned out. This was a really nice spin. It took basically the whole it took more than 3 hours to spin this stupid thing. But it was very nice. BFL. And then I think I chain plied this one. No, this was another one that I spun. So this was a layered bat that I separated, and that was quite a lot of fun. I still need to count up the yardage on this little pony. I think I bet I can leave it as singles. It's pretty soft. And somewhere is the sample I actually spun in class, which I think I turned into a very nice marble. And then these two were bats that I made, so I think I showed you guys sort of after the fact that I had made bats. And I sort of liked how they came together. I spun them both similarly, so they're both coarse spun. They haven't had their bath yet. So I coarse spun with my Zephyr, and then I thread plied it with some cotton. Come on, you can do it. A little bit further back. So it's really cool. The cotton ended up adding this very interesting sheen. So this is my prettier bat. It was the smoother one, but very fun little coarse spin here. And this was my more crazy one, and I ripped the for this one I ended up ripping the bat up and making like little logs, so it had like this color sequence to it. Because I don't think I would have normally put all of these colors together. But fun little sheen, a little bit of sparkle here or there. But it turned out to be a much more fun yarn than I was initially expecting. The bat was like, oh my gosh, what have I made? But I spun it anyway, so it turned out fine. And then I think that's everything that's in that little bag. And so what's on my wheel right now is what I did was I spun up the rest of the layered bat as a marl. So I was maximizing the color mixing. We'll bring this closer to the camera. It's still attached to my wheel, so there you go. It's trying to focus. So really super duper pretty how it turned out. And then let's figure out how I'm going to bring this all in. Just keep shifting until victory. So this, is how I'm plying it up. So I'm actually plying it with my pound of Zephyr. I'm just going crazy with the Zephyr right now. I'm not sure whether or not it was a good choice, but I did want to make it go far, so I was hoping to be able to maybe make a project with it. And so I think it's coming out like a light fingering because the singles are pretty fine. Or it seems to be coming out as a lace weight against itself, so you take a lace weight and half a lace weight and you get a light fingering. If it was two lace weights together, then it would be more, or what is it, words? It would be more of a fingering weight, so I think this is a light fingering. But whatever, so this dark guy, the character of it has changed so much because there's quite a bit more white in it. So that's cool. So I'm hoping to get decent yardage out of this one, but who knows. I ended up not using, so it'll be it'll be most of the 2 ounces, I think, in the bat. Assuming, probably. We'll make it work. My ice is melting. We're in the danger zone now. Oh, no hot coffee for me today. So, let it be. So it'll be the case where I've been plying that up. I started plying it after I got back home, and then to do some errands, and I was like, oh wait, it's time to podcast, so take care of all of these things. I think, what is it, my husband right now is replacing the brakes on my car, so I was like, whatever. And this is the last thing. So I think I'm actually using my my shawl yarn as the skein ties, and unfortunately there is a little bit of bleeding here. I don't know what I should do there. Well, because it'd be the case of, what is it, like I want to make sure, because this is a very saturated color, I want to make sure that I don't see it in the sweater I'm planning to make, which is The Breathing Space by Vera Valimaki. But I did finish this guy, so I got, I don't remember how many yards. It was a similar amount, I do believe. I haven't counted it for Stash Dash yet, but I am pretty sure I wrote it down somewhere. Alright, so I have 577.5 yards, which counts for 1732.5 yards for stash dash, so a mile of singles, yay! It's been washed, thwacked, whole bit, looking really gorgeous. I don't know what sort of magic it is, but my skeins always are very chill after that treatment. Like even my crazy pants, like plying crazy structure disasters I've done this year, whoopsies, have turned out to still be very mild-mannered skeins at the end. And I think my chain ply is whacked onto the end of this for whatever crazy reason. I guess I had done a decent job of putting that in, so I think that's why it's not here. There was a little bit, because that's just typical with any 3-ply, but I'm okay with sticking it somewhere and calling it good. We definitely look to be, yeah, that spot there's probably a transition. Yeah, probably. But really gorgeous. Nice tonal look to it because of, would it be a nice tonal look because of the fiber and the 3-ply. So, should be good. And then I had to wander upstairs to get the rest. So, oh wait, speaking of like crazy pant structures, so got it all now. So I would say maybe it is a smidgen darker the other skein, but that probably won't be the end of the world. And then I have my 2 chain plies, which probably aren't going to be incorporated in the sweater. And then the last bit, the mostly blue but variegated one, so my combo spin of the group. And so now this looks much closer like equal amounts of yarn. But should be adequate contrast, and be very nice red-blue combo. So should be good. Would it be? Very nice spin overall. Should be a very interesting knit. Definitely on the lighter end of figuring, which is what I was hoping for. But I might try washing these 2 skeins again, just to be super extra, like, just to be really extra sure that I've gotten the excess dye out of it, because it would be, what would it be? It would be a dreadful shame if it bled, because there is a decent amount of red in this by design. So the red comes from the, because it was the case for when I combo spun this, one of them was like a light blue and the other one was a variegated. But yeah, I definitely, so it should pick up, but it always has some blue in it. It was a part of it was a part of my evil plan, so it continues. So I might end up washing these guys again, because both of them did, to varying degrees, turn their skein ties different colors. So I just want to be super duper sure that it's totally done. You know what I mean? You don't want to risk it, and even though it's not white, it needs to happen. So That'd be, and I do love how super saturated and a really nice blue-red this is. So I do appreciate it. It's just, remember with things like that, you have to be careful. Careful, careful, careful. So I think both of these will get a wash before, or get a wash maybe soon, just to make sure. Separately, all by their lonesome. As you do. Because yeah. Alas, that is the danger with red. I fell in love with the red, so, oh well. That's what I get. So it shouldn't be too crazy, and I'll probably do the mini skein too, because the red is definitely probably the more dangerous. Well, what is it? The greatest danger of running out. I think I'll have plenty of the blue for the sweater. So I have 9 ounces of the blue, or 9 ounces of the red, and then 8 ounces of the blue. Due to a little snafu with the shipping, but not the end of the world. But I will be alternating the reds. Because they did come from different dye batches. But they're pretty close. It should be fun. It's just the big thing is just making sure I get all of the dye out. So I'm not sure if I need to do anything else to do that. Because the color is super duper saturated. So I'm guessing it's just excess dye. That's my thought process. So we'll figure something out. Because I don't want that excess dye getting where I don't want it to be. You know what I mean? Okie dokie. Let's see. So, I should be able to record next week. I don't think there's any craziness afoot for that. Hopefully I'll get a couple more spinning projects wrapped up. What would it be? I'm definitely so there's 15 more days of Stash Dash. It'll end not this Sunday, but the Sunday after. So I will have to puzzle over what I want to do there. I'm guessing the bat is probably going to be the most likely one, and I'm just going to have to accept that I procrastinated a little too long to do the pansy spin. I don't remember whether or not I counted. I know the odds might actually be decent to make it to 7,000 yards. I don't know if I can make it to 10,000. Spinning is the only way that I'm going to do it, though. So I'll have to figure that one out. I don't know, I can't remember whether or not I counted my other red skein in that. So now I'm sort of curious and want to check. Just for fun. Go to my favorites. Oops, that was a circle. That didn't work so well. Alright, to the Stash Dash shadow thread. Like, personally, I'm just sort of... and then it's probably in all sorts of strange places. So, I am supposedly at 7,802 meters. And I did count this skein in the count. But I haven't counted any of my samples yet. So, I did have... that one was a part of it. Yay. So, not too crazy, all things considered. But what it be? So that means I have made it to 7K. But can I make it to 10 in the remaining days? No, I have to add up all the samples that I've done recently. I don't know. It seems like the odds are probably poor for me finishing up the Boxy. They're maybe a little bit better for finishing up the Rock the Casbah. I know, it's not terrible, but part of a good chunk of the Boxy was done at SSK, so I don't know that I could do that much knitting that fast. But I am 2,200 yards short. And that's a mile. Oh, what am I thinking? I'll have to figure out based on, because I haven't counted any of my samples yet, so it may not be as terrible as I'm thinking to get everything set up, but I might just be a mile short, or closer to a mile short than otherwise. I don't know. We shall see. I'm gonna be. I guess I still have a decent amount of spinning left to go, and the singles count, so there's lots of singles to go around. We shall see. But I might. I don't know how hard I want to try. I may not want to try. I think I made it to 8,000 last year. I know I've had grand plans of making to 8,000 before and failed. Oh well. I think I covered everything, so that was good. That was a long episode. That stalling time. God, those beat rows screw you up every time. So, I think that's everything. What is it? I think in a few weeks I will be missing a week. What it be? Traveling, you know how it goes. And, well, actually, no, that'll be in September. The end of September. It's gonna. So there might be a few. We'll see. It may be. I don't know. There's amorphous plans for a rock climbing trip. So we may need to hammer those down harder. Because it is very lovely to do. So I think that's everything. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talk guys next week. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.